undisciplined, selfish.
No joke. We're legitimate.
Let's fucking do this. Then do it. Do it 100%, because I'm trying to.
We recognize that we are limitless.
You gotta be a champion to become a champion, right? Winning is a habit because we create habits that lead to good execution and success.
All right, everyone. This is a big one, and for me, this is honestly a special one. This is episode 104 of The Coaches Show. I'm Ryan Gray of Red Legion. My normal co-host, Mike Bianca, is out tonight. He had a work event that could not be interrupted, so it's just me. However, we have a fantastic guest tonight. Tonight, we've got the president of Major League Paintball himself, Tom Cole. And if you've spent any time around this sport, you already know this might be the hardest working man in paintball. From behind the scenes logistics to big picture vision, Tom is constantly pushing the game forward. And now he's helping lead one of the boldest moves we've ever seen, bringing Major League Paintball into Raymond James Stadium for the kickoff of the 2026 season. This isn't just another event. This is growth, and this is belief in our sport. This episode is brought to you by Max Sportswear. Check out the latest at maxsportswear.com and BKI, the best knowledge in paintball, where all the smart guys are learning how to play. Please get your questions in the chat. This is going to be a lot of content that we're going to throw at you. The main purpose of this is for you guys to understand all of the things that are going to happen on Thursday inside of Raymond James Stadium. What time you can come in, what time we should finish up, when all the matches are going to be, what are all the events that are happening throughout the day. Can we get food and beer while we're in there? There's going to be all kinds of stuff that Tom's going to answer for us as well. Maybe we can jump into some rule changes that may be occurring, talk about the 3-on-3 amateur division, what changes may be occurring there. We're going to have a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about. We're going to try to stay away from things that have already been discussed on other shows. However, we may have to touch on those just to, provide and create some texture and layering. So bear with us tonight if we talk about things you've already heard or already seen. But please participate, get in the chat, ask questions if you have any. If I don't ask them right away, I promise when we get to that part of the show, I will bring them up. So appreciate you guys who are already in the chat. Looks pretty lively in there already. Make sure also to like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening and coming out on Major League Paintball channel, on the YouTube channel right here that you're watching. So make sure to like our show, like this show, and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get alerts anytime stuff goes live on the channel. A lot of stuff coming. Want to touch too really quick, if you guys have not gone out and seen the new video that's on the HK YouTube, the Tampa Bay Damage documentary. If you have not watched it, you need to jump over after this show and go check that out. That Immortal documentary that they did is absolutely fantastic. Really vulnerable with a lot of the different players, talk a lot about the kind of the struggles and challenges early on. And you kind of get a sense of personality from each one of the guys too that they do interviews with. It's excellent. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a really long time. So yeah, some people in the chat talking about how sick it is. So please go support stuff like that when teams are kind of when they're taking risk to do those kind of things on their own. Number one, it's incredibly expensive. And number two, it does show some vulnerability. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to help make things like we're going to talk about tonight going into Raymond James Stadium really, really special. In fact, kind of the headliner game is going to be a real banger. We'll get into it with Tom. So welcome, my friend.
Hello, Ryan. How are you?
I'm wonderful, buddy. I'm excited about this one, man. This Raymond James Stadium thing is a really big deal. I was blessed enough, to be at the ESPN thing last year. That was, I know you kind of talked a little bit about it in our meeting the other night with the media guys. I actually was one of the people who did get that feeling when we walked out onto that stadium floor. it kind of did get that kind of emotional moment, kind of had it for a second, and then it went away. But then as soon as we started the tournament, I got it again, right? Like kind of looking around, hearing and seeing the crowd, and the Disney folks having to bring a commentator out, right, to talk to everybody who was in the stands. Like, I did have a little moment there where I was like, all right, this is special. This is different. I was at that Skyball. I played a Skyball event, and I've heard some people kind of making comparisons. There isn't one. That was nothing like what this is. So I'm really excited to see what this Raymond James Stadium thing is going to be. You just had kind of an experience there with some of the other Major League Paintball staff. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and what you're referring to is when I went to the ESPN Stadium, I didn't get that chill, right? That I'm selling the chill, right? That's what my job is, right? I want everybody to feel a chill when they pull in, and it's funny because I still get it when I pull into Badlands. A little shout out to Rennick there, when I pull, there's so much history at Badlands. I get that when I pull in there, and I've gotten it before. I got it at Sky Dome. I got it when I first pulled into like my first big tournament, or we've all had that thing. And I really wasn't, we were doing so many things, and this just kind of, this is a progression that we're working on. And I wasn't as excited as I was after I went to the stadium, So you walk in there and you realize, like, we are playing in the stadium. And the difference between Sky Dome and what we're doing is at Sky Dome, it was more like a facility that we were playing in. It wasn't like we were the show. And
right.
This time, this is going to be the show. And we just had a meeting with the media, so a lot of this is kind of like rehearsal for us. But we have a bunch of different kinds of customers, right? My first customer and my priority customer through most of our career has been the player and the teams, right? That's our customer. But to take it to the next level, we have two other customers. One is the live viewer, the person in the stadium. And then the third one is the online TV viewer, and trying to tick all those boxes and make sure it's fun for all three and exciting for all three and compelling for all three and a value for all three is a challenge, and it's fun. It's kind of exciting to be where we're at. I do think this one's going to be a home run. I try not to oversell stuff, but this is going to be epic, right? There's no other way to describe it. Like, I've done a lot at this point in time, and just as a player or whatever, and when you walk into that thing, into the stadium, you feel like, it's special. It is special with jumbotrons, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, it'll be us and the Buccaneers, right? It'll be the two people playing in there that week. So yeah, it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be.
Yeah. So Chris Kurtz in the comments says, does the field size fit in the stadium since it's huge? Talk a little bit about kind of what the layout, if you want to describe it kind of bit for the viewers.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to play from sideline to sideline, and we're using the end zone as our spectator viewing. So if you picture a football stadium, typically the end zone, it's got the fan area right there behind it. In a Buck Stadium, we have the pirate ship. So we are on that one side running, sideline to sideline with the 50-yard line facing the basically the pirate ship. So that seats 3,600 people, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. And we can seat, whatever it is, 60-some thousand. But in order to try and, not bite off more than we can chew, we're trying to seat the 3,600 and make that end zone full. And all of our cameras will be shown from the opposite 50-yard line. So all the fans inside that area will be on the show, and hopefully it'll look full and look beautiful.
Yeah. From the meeting the other night, kind of that graphic you showed was, I think it's going to be really impressive. So on one side of the 50-yard line, you'll kind of have all of the playing surface,
players in the pits.
Yeah, the pit area will be over there, and then the summit is kind of going on in the middle of the day, and we'll talk about the schedule in a minute, but it's kind of going on in between those two things, right?
Yeah, so the summit classes are going on inside the stadium as well, but at the same time as the 3v3. So we basically are doing two things. We have the three things. We have the 3v3, four things. We'll keep adding stuff. We're doing the 3v3 all day. So this is the inaugural part of the season. Last year, everything was kind of like a tester. This year, we have the season. We're doing 2 conferences, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, Eastern and Western. There's going to be a winner of both conferences at the event. At that same time, we'll have the classes going all day. At the end of that, the classes are going to end. The 3-man will end. We'll go straight into the award show. So not only do we have awards for the players of the NXL, WNXL, and ICPL and all that stuff, but then we will also have the store and field owners will get dumped out into a VIP area, and they will then get to watch the awards, and then they'll get to watch our season opener, which is something we're really like pushing. Is we have 6 split deck matches, or 3 split deck matches, I believe.
Don't get too far ahead of the deal.
Yeah.
Don't get too far ahead of us here. So we're gonna jump into that in just a second. Don't get too far ahead of the deal. So MBK for real. This is a great question, and we were just about to get here. So he says, I heard they're shooting for $3K in the stadium, 3,000 people watching. What kind of prices for seating from VIP to general? How much does it cost to come in?
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
So it's 100% free. You can come into the stadium.
It's
completely
100% free.
Yeah, and for everybody. So you don't have to be registered for the event. You don't have to have a player ID. None of that. Everything is 100% free.
Yep.
Yeah.
We will have a QR code that we're going to ask you to fill out. Give us your email. We'll email you a barcode that you can use when you come inside. You have to go through security, and we'll have a detailed list of what all that's going to look like. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely free. We will have a paid viewing area that we are reserving for the non-paintball community, which will also have reserved seating. We will be giving those away free, but we're locking that for the non-paintball community just so we have if we set aside 500 seats or whatever, we're going to invite, some schools and different like groups to kind of come and participate. And that we're going to have a ticket price, but we're going to be waiving that to get them in for free. But we're just trying to show a value.
Totally. Yeah, it's not free if there's no value.
Correct. But it will be free to all the paintball people just for being a part of the community. How's that? And obviously that's the thing we never know, right? How many people are going to come, right? I was super impressed by how many people came to ESPN. So shout out to everybody that came out for that one match, or those, that 1 hour of play or whatever we did. That was very impressive. Even on Disney's website, there was an article about it, and the only picture they put up of the fan engagement was our event. Yep, was us. So we knocked it out of the park there, and that was the fans. You know what I mean? That was them doing that, and we're hoping the same thing happens here. And I can't emphasize enough that these are all steps, right? Everybody always has this like, we should be on TV and we should have Coke as a sponsor and all that stuff. And it doesn't happen every day, right? It's like anything. You don't become a world championship team. You don't become a triathlete. You don't become any of these things without the first step, right? Everything becomes with the first foot in front of the other foot, right? And so doing the ESPN thing and doing it in the stadium and getting Disney to sign off and having that stadium and showing that we had those fans led directly to the Buck Stadium opportunity. And hopefully it's going to continue to lead to more opportunity. So,
yeah. So Chris Kurtz, I am going to get to that question, but we're not there yet. This is a good one though. Is the NXL doing any outside promotion about this right now? Anything going to local youth groups, clubs, and schools?
So that is one of the things we're doing. We just did a call with the media the other day to get some insight there. We will probably be ramping that up right around March 1st to start really like pushing that and kind of making that go. We're just trying to make all of our stuff go and just kind of make it happen.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to add to that is the answer is there will be some, but the responsibility falls on us a little bit as a community to make sure that people know about this. Like I've kind of reached out to some of my friends in Tampa and asked them to touch through social media some of those types of groups, as well as Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan groups, to try to jump into some of their chats, talk about the event. It's free. So there is going to be some promotion done by the league, but it's our responsibility to help with a lot of that. There's not just an unlimited bucket of money to go around. So the little things that we can do, just as the responsibility of the community, those are them, and we need to do that.
And we've had a great fan base, right? Like I don't know when the change happened, but it is definitely a positive community that we have. They all are very helpful. Everybody jumps on, everybody, I mean, there's always people that have some critiques, right? Which is healthy. But most people, when they get behind a good bandwagon, they something that's going to move the sport forward, everybody kind of jumps on it, right? We put our differences aside or whatever opinions we got and kind of move that ball forward. And that's why we did the media call the other day, was to kind of let the media know in advance kind of some of the stuff we were doing and get their input on what they think we can do better with.
Yeah, and I'm always kind of a fan of critique and criticism, because if they don't have that for you, they either don't care or they really just don't know. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, no, for sure.
Ask somebody, hey, what was your experience? If they go, yeah, everything was great. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, something wasn't great.
It's our right? I mean, it's I always make this comment, or like I've had this epiphany recently where that the NPPL, we really put paintball back, the original NPPL, the 13 people left. We talked about Jim Lively on the beginning here, but Jim Lively was running a viable, beautiful event. And we wanted to change some stuff about it, or the powers that be wanted to change with the teams. And we did it, but it went down after that, right? Because we were the ones designing it. We were the ones doing it. We were underfunded. We didn't care about the show. So we kind of went back to the Stone Age, the Dark Ages, have you would. Yeah. And because we were all part of it, we didn't really critique each other, right? Like if someone didn't have good reffing, we didn't complain about it publicly and all that stuff. And it wasn't until some of the magazines started really attacking us to where we really have to start fixing some of the stuff. So I believe in the asking the hard questions and all that kind of stuff. I just, sometimes we got to band together though and move it forward. So I believe in that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to have critique and really open, good conversations.
Well, and it's funny because like people are going to complain whether they complain to you or not, right? So in Junior Brown, he's got a funny thing. Him and his wife were like complaining about us about something, and he was like, "You do know we have his phone number. We could just call him." And he called him, and it's just a better system, right? Because at least then we can we can hear it instead of just everybody complaining on their way back to the cars after they got knocked out by a bad call or something. It's just a healthier environment for sure. But I do feel like there's a lot of give and take between the teams in the league. And so I'm super happy with that.
Yeah. Mike and I've talked about this several times on the show. Like, I think this is the healthiest relationship that the teams have ever had with the league.
Well, thank you. I agree. I think and we talked about a little bit. It's, some of it's just because the players and teams have been around for a long time and they're not buying the snake oil, shall we say, but they're bought in to try and make it better. Right. And we're not trying to make huge jumps and huge moves fast.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the schedule that we're going to have on Thursday, because there's some questions in here that I do want to get to, which are the first part of the schedule. So Major League Paintball is launching a new 3-on-3 pro. What are we calling it?
303 Pro. I don't know. Major League.
It's its own league, yeah?
It's its own league, yeah. It's the Major League 3v3. It's a running clock, which is something new for everybody. It's going to be interesting. The running clock.
I'm really glad it's a running clock. I think that's an important step. And then so if it's going to be a running clock, what's the time in between?
45 seconds.
All right. I think that answers this question. So Charles from Max, and thank you, title sponsor of the show. Curious if there will be any tweaks to the 3v3 format following the ESPN broadcast. The points moved very quickly, and it felt like we needed to see the strategic chess match side of the game, for sure.
So we don't, and so everybody likes to use the chess thing. Kevin's gonna be happy because this is one of his things, But how many people really watch chess, right? Chess is not one of those like breakout sports that everybody's looking to watch, right? So whereas the people who love paintball, we love that chess game thing, right? Like it could go 20 minutes and we're like, well, he's waiting on this because that's going to happen. It doesn't really make a good viewership. We made some mistakes with the 3v3 one. There wasn't enough time between points. 2, the field was really small and the game was really quick. So all those things added together to a very fast game.
And to be clear, we were motivated to play fast.
And we were motivated to play fast. I did. Yes, we all talked about it. It was agreed we were all going to play fast. Because, anytime you play a sport and everybody's competitive, it just slows down, right? All the major sports have had a problem with it. We're no different. So everybody agreed to play fast. The Red Legion always steps up when I say play fast. They're like, we're in. We are in.
You don't have to tell us.
Yeah. I like to, though, because then it makes me feel like I accomplished something watching them play fast.
Yeah, we're going to play fast anyway.
I know. I remember watching it one time, and I was like, there's only 13 seconds. There's no way they can win. I'm like, oh, wow. They just won. My bad.
So you're probably talking about the 2019 Impact game, which literally right now I am working on a synopsis for Coach Alexi on why and how that occurred.
I didn't even get a chance to watch it because I thought there was no way. It was just going to be like a lame duck point. And suddenly you guys had won. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. So, yes, we are changing the format up a little bit. We're kind of doing the 45 seconds. We're also adding timeouts, which is a little bit of a gray area because we've run into some wrinkles with timeouts on how that's going to work. But basically every team roughly is going to get 2 timeouts. They'll have different effects, but it'll slow the game down a little bit, allowing you to get some people on the line. So we went to 45 seconds instead of 30 seconds, which is 50% more time between points. And then if the coach is ever feeling like he's got a problem, he can throw a timeout and give himself another 30 seconds to get the team on the line.
Yeah. Smart. I like the 2 timeouts.
Yeah. Yeah. We just have to stay to a fixed time limit of a game, both for TV and just for our own scheduling. So we're trying to make it as exact a science as possible. And everybody's going to point out, like most other sports, they do have some overages or whatever, but if you're not a cool sport, they'll just switch to Oprah right in the middle of your final. So we're not quite there yet to tell them we're going to push Oprah back. I probably said this summer before, but when I watched ESPN, when I went to the dart championships for ESPN to see how they do stuff, they literally were on the radio with their Jason Trozen guy saying, it's a race to 5, make it a race to 3, like in the middle of the match because it was taking too long. And I just could not imagine telling Mike Hinman and Bart that the game that was race to 5 is now race to 3 and the next point was for all the marbles. And then right before that point saying, my bad, we're going back to race to 5, which they did, that exact scenario. It was our guys could not handle that kind of stress. So we're trying to make it as defined a time limit as possible.
It's different too when you're talking about an individual sport where there's one person who's participating against one person versus an organization where you have staff and coaches and multiple players on the field. And when we're changing things on the fly, I just can't imagine.
Yeah, but it also goes to the integrity of the game, right? Let's just say, I don't want Red Legion to win and I want Fit to win. Well, then I'm like, the next point is all the marbles. And then Red Legion wins. I was like, my bad. We're going to play 2 more points and we'll see how Fit does.
We all know that you're a Fit and Dynasty fan. You don't have to try to hide it. Everyone knows.
No, I don't hide it. I don't hide it, but I don't rig the games either. So
no.
I got to root for somebody, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can just root for us. You could.
You guys have won a lot, and I warned Fit. I'm no longer rooting for Fit because I like to root for the underdog. We're no longer the underdog, so
no.
I'm moving on to Uprising. Uprising is my new favorite team.
I don't think you can be a fan of paintball and not be a fan of Uprising, right? Like same thing with Fit. You can't love paintball and not love what Fit and Uprising are doing. They're kind of following similar models, right?
Correct.
You can't, like, it's just me. Like, if you're a purist, paintball purist, you can't be a fan of this thing as from a sport perspective and not love what those teams are doing.
Well, you were talking about the video in your pre-log there, right? And I watched the video and I still get excited. You know what I mean? Like watching it. I mean, I talk to these people on a daily basis and the video just makes you excited, right? I mean, I love the game, right? That's obvious, right? But, and so there's something about every team that I'm rooting for, it's like, I also like X Factor. I don't talk a lot about X Factor, but there's no team that I'm happier than when they do well than X Factor, right? Because they're just soldiers, right? They've been playing a long time and they're great players, they're great personalities. You know what I mean? I love talking to them as a team about like whatever strange plan I have going on. My strange concept. So yeah.
Yeah. Also salt of the earth men on that team. So
we have a full line of great teams.
So we have the pro 3v3 that's happening. So we have one division, right? Sorry, not division. It's
conference.
Conference.
So we have the Eastern Conference playing in the morning, and then they're going to have a winner. And then we're going to have the Western Conference play in the afternoon, and then they're going to have a winner. And the plan is that they're going to play 3 events. We're going to skip Texas. They're going to play 3 events. Hopefully, there's an ESPN show in August, which would be depending on how long of a show. I've given people 2 audibles. Whether it's an hour-long show, we'll take the top 4 teams and they'll play the conference championships. And if it's just 2 teams playing in the 30-minute show, we will take the highest-ranked teams from each of the conferences, and we'll basically play the U.S. championship. And then World Cup will be the World Championship, which once again will play just like the way the NFL plays. You'll play in your conference all the way through the playoffs, and then you will go play the other conference leader at the end of that, the conference champion winner at World Cup.
Yeah. Okay. So all of that is happening between what times?
Between, I'm going to say 8 and 5.
Okay. So from 8 to 5, we have 3-man, right?
Correct.
And then from 5 until 7.
7, we have the Summit Awards and the Summit Awards.
Summit Awards show 5 to 7, right?
Yep.
And then at 7 o'clock, what happens?
And then at 7 o'clock, we're going to have the season opener, which will be the Tampa Bay Damage versus Red Legion, and Edmonton Impact versus the Tauntauns.
Great matches.
It'll be a great double-decker, and we made the decision to make that our focus game, right? Because it's Tampa and Red Legion, both kind of based out of Florida. It's going to be one of the best games. And then we have the international one, which is basically Impact versus Tauntauns, right? So
yeah.
I don't know what brand name they're going to claim they're from, the Tauntauns, but we both know they're from France, and we know Impact's from Canada. So that'll be the international kind of flavor. And then we go after that, we're mixing a split deck between the men's pro and the WNXL pro. So the next matchup is Houston Heat versus X Factor, we just talked about, and then Dallas Vibe versus the Femme Fatales. And the theory being there, if you're going to tune in because you're a WNXL fan or you're an NXL fan, you'll be there for the whole match instead of just tuning in for that match. So we are hopefully inflating our viewership for both. And so we have the 3v3, which is also the league kickoff for that, right? It's the inaugural event of that entire league. But then we have the seasoner opener, which is Thursday night. So we have 2 things going on there, and the season opener is going to be free on YouTube. So we're trying to do that like a true show. So it's going to start at 6:30. We're going to do a pregame show while the award show is going on. There's been some talk about how we're going to do that, but no matter what, at 6:30 on our YouTube channel, you will go to a pregame show. It's going to talk about the season matchups and the matchups of that evening, and then we'll go into that 3 hours of block of high-end tournament paintball.
Yeah, somebody asked that question. I was just trying to say there's your answer. So free on YouTube. So it will not be behind a paywall. So if you are not able to attend the event, you'll be able to see it right here on Major League Paintball's YouTube channel starting at 6:30 Eastern time.
Yep.
You'll be able to jump right in, check the pre-show, which is going to be Maddie and
we're not sold on how the pre-show is going to go yet. We're still working on that. Okay. Whether it's going to be pre-recorded or whether it's going to be live. There's some challenges to both systems there. And the important thing is this is, we do ESPN, and it's a good way to meet new people and kind of be in that. But in the end, we've got to be able to stand on our own feet as a show, right? Either people are tuning in to watch it. So this is going to be like for the general public as well as the paintball community. And we're going to try and bill it as that, right? So we are going to do some explainer stuff in the middle of it where it's not going to be just for the paintball community. So it's going to be like our test at a show. And we want to see how the viewership is because it's a prime time slot. You're talking Thursday at 6:30. that is the primetime slot, and we're going to see what the viewership is. And because obviously, be behind a paywall has got challenges for growing the sport, right? So it would be interesting to see how this does and what that means to advertisers, right? So like if we can reach certain numbers, maybe we have Bud Light, or someone else trying to advertise to it. Probably shouldn't use Bud Light, but a different cool beer to advertise through that and go from there.
So anybody who's not going to be there, it's going to be right here on YouTube on this channel starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, which means kind of like what we did with the ESPN show. We want to share this information. Let's get it out. Let's make sure people know where to find it. You guys will have some graphics coming out, I hope.
We'll have some graphics coming out.
Stuff. And you're going to send that to all the media partners that you met with the other night, hopefully, so we can help to share that. Yeah, it's a big deal. So this is something I'm so glad it was asked, because I asked you right before the show started to make sure. Will alcohol be served at the stadium?
Yes. Alcohol. Well, beer.
Yeah, food and beer.
But beer will definitely be food and beer. Yes. I mean, it's going to be the same concessions as the Bucks, right? So yeah.
Sorry, I was making sure we.
That's right. I didn't really get the menu, what items are on it. It's going to be typical, stadium fare. Yep, stadium fare.
Stadium food. Is the snake side going to be Is that going to be the fan side?
That is a good question.
So normally, like for the events, the snake side's actually usually on the pit side. And I agree. Let me see who asked that question, because sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Jay Principato 58. I believe it should also be on that side, especially if it's a kick-ass snake like I hope it's going to be.
Needs to be. Yeah, we will digest that. I would lean that way. So tell him that he's got my vote.
Okay. Ballsack asked, do vendors outside the stadium need to stay open until the end of the night games? I can't imagine.
No, actually, we want you to close and tell everybody to go inside the stadium.
I was going to say, I can't imagine.
The stadium. Everybody needs to be inside the stadium.
Yeah.
That's our money shot, right? We plan on trying to sell this for the rest of our lives, right? That's going to be our promo material, is that backdrop, right? So we want that.
Yeah. So some of you guys are asking questions that we've already answered, or making statements about things that we've already answered. So when you get a chance, just go back, rewatch the show, and you'll get some answers to that. The field is going to be on an end zone right where the pirate ship is. So some of that stuff we've already kind of talked about. So please go back, just watch the show again. I don't want to touch on a bunch of stuff that we've already talked about. Let's see, we hit that. That. Man, you are crushing it.
Is that a statement from you or someone in the?
For me, you're just killing it. You're doing great. Yeah. So somebody's kind of mentioned it in here. Somebody said like 3,000 generically is the number. What are how many people are we trying to put in the stadium?
3,600.
But I think the real answer is as many as possible.
Yes,
right?
yes. I mean,
if we had to overflow into the edges, that would be amazing.
we can overflow. It's funny. We had a call about it, and I'm like, that. If we have that problem, that's the worst problem to have. We will fix that. It can just keep overflowing.
Right.
Yeah. So it's and we may have a lot of local people, right? Because we're obviously advertising local, right? It's a chance to go inside the Bucs Stadium and for free, right? Normally, I don't know what a ticket costs, but it's not cheap. So we're going to be able to get people in there, fans of the Bucs or fans of the stadium or just sports people in general, because it's cool to be in there. And then the players just walking onto the field. It's going to be pretty epic. And we're going to do the national anthem, inside the stadium, in front of all those fans. I think it's going to be pretty epic, pretty cool.
Sorry, I'm making some notes from some of the questions that are being asked in here. MBK for real. We are going to talk about that. We're just not there yet. So, okay. So what else do we need to know about the show?
Come, bring your friends, bring your family.
Come,
show everybody how
bring
cool
a friend, bring family.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is one of those kind of, this is a moment, right? You've been around a really long time. This is my 33rd year in paintball. From those of us who've been around long enough, you and I were talking about this in the green room, to see all these different kind of iterations that have occurred and these like kind of moments that we've had and sort of been able to kind of take one step forward, but then we seem to fall 4 or 5 steps back. Like under this sort of regime of Major League Paintball right now, you guys continue to take these not little steps, like these are big steps you guys have taken from being in the ESPN stadium now to being into the Buck Stadium. Like this is one of those moments, right? It's a big one. So where are we going from here? Like, what do you, now that you guys kind of have this confidence that you built from the ESPN show and now having this opportunity in the stadium, let's say everything goes really well, right? We know there's going to be small problems more than likely that have to be fixed, but let's say things go just exceptionally well. Like, where do you see us going from here?
Yeah, I always use like a team as my analogy, right? It's like the first time you make it the Sunday, it's like so hard to make it the Sunday, right? And then at some point in time, it just becomes easy to make it the Sunday. And now it's, you want to make the top 4. And then once you start making the top 4, then it's winning. And then winning is always hard, but it's definitely easier. The best indication of whether you're going to win the next NXL event is whether you've ever won one before, right? It's like the single leading indicator of whether you're going to win the next one. So as we move forward, things have just gotten easier, right? Like while we were in Buck Stadium, we were also talking to ESPN literally the same day, right? This is what, a year ahead of where we were talking to ESPN 2 years ago. I think it's inevitable that we are going to end up with some type of a TV show or some type of a broadcast type deal that's going to, it's inevitable, right? There's lots of emerging sports in the place. We have a cool sport with a legacy that's at least cool to watch on TV. I mean, the amount of times that it's been on ESPN since we did that show last year is ridiculous, right? It's on all the time. And whether it's got legs to last forever is going to be on us about how we keep, evolving the game and making the game challenging enough that it's easy to watch, but also in depth to where you can start to grow with it and understand the nuances, right? So we don't want to dumb it down to where it's too easy for everybody and it gets bored, like darts, right? Or poker, which kind of, both have seen a peak and then kind of drop back off. Football, basketball, those sports have lots of nuances with it. So I think no matter what we're going to end up on TV, what that looks like is a bigger question. What the stadium means to us is, and there's always this debate about free ticketing, right? Like we charge for ticketing at our stands and all that kind of stuff, right? In the end, the product, if the product is not just the tournament, right, where I'm selling entrance fees, if the product is viewership, people have to be willing to pay for it. Not just us, but like the general public, right? It's got to be a good time and it's got to be a value to the person. It's not like, just charge $1 million and hope people come. It's like, can we charge $10 and will people get $10 worth of value out of it? Will it be worth it to spend that $10? And so this is the first step in that direction. If we could get 3,000 people, and we had a thing the other day where someone was like, we need to have something to entertain the people while they're there. And I'm like, well, if the paintball doesn't entertain them, then we probably got a bigger challenge than whether we're going to have something to entertain people while they're there, right? So this is the first test. We put the people in there. Some of them are going to be general Joes and that don't understand like all the hierarchy of paintball. We have to educate them and allow them to see what they enjoyed, figure out what they enjoyed and what they did not, make those changes and see what happens, right? And the stadium is a big step because we're always telling people to come watch us, but there's always that nuance of it's across the street from, or in this woodlot, or in this vacant field or something. Now we can say it's in the Buck Stadium. It's so much easier for me, right, when I'm telling the story.
I do kind of disagree a little bit with your comment of like, if the paintball doesn't entertain them, then we have a different problem. I've never been to a professional sporting event that there wasn't something else going on. Football has cheerleaders, halftime. Like every time there's a timeout, there's shit going on. Same thing with basketball. Like it's an entire experience when you go to those events.
I don't disagree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's when there's no football going on. When there's something else going on, they're entertaining them. But it's not like we should have iPads in the seats so people can watch, Hulu while we're playing, right?
Sure.
No, I'm not saying we shouldn't have the ambiance and the bells and whistles and all that stuff of a regular football game. And all that stuff to make it exciting. And some of that is just so people just don't watch at home, right? It's so much easier to watch on your big screen. You want that live feel for events. And actually, there's been a spike in people wanting to have live event experiences. That's one of the trends right now in sports. That's kind of driving everything. So we do need that, but we need to make sure the game is something, whether that's through education, right? We have to educate people on who the players are, who the teams are, why the matchups are important, and what they're trying to accomplish when they're playing. We need to sell all that, and that's all part of the picture. But the game's also got to be fun, and this will be interesting to see how long the people stay, right? If you show up at 7 o'clock and you're out of there by 7:30, you're like, all right, I'm over this, right? It's, and I go to a lot of sports. I go to a lot. I drove, matter of fact, to do the ESPN thing, I drove to watch the dart championships because that's how we got on ESPN. And I drove 4.5 hours, something like that, to Tulsa. It might have been longer. I feel like it was longer, but I drove to Tulsa. I waited in line. I did all this, stayed the night, went and watched, got the show. I met the ESPN guy within 10 minutes, and I watched about 15 minutes of the darts before I was like, oh my God. It might have been axe throwing. It was axe throwing. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was I watched. I'm going to say it was axe throwing. But I was like, I'm out of here. This is the boringest thing I've ever seen in my life, right? They couldn't even entertain me, and I drove all that way to do it, right? So, we need to make sure we're above that. And I believe we have so many advantages over top of that it's exciting to watch fans.
I totally agree, but I do think our in-person fan experience leaves a lot to be desired. Like we don't have any commentator, like for our fans, we don't have a scoreboard. The scoreboard we do have, and I think I heard you talking about this on PTG, like that scoreboard that the fans can see, it's off all the time. Like it's 8, 12 seconds, sometimes 30 seconds wrong, which by the way, also the players are looking at that from time to time. Well, I had to tell the guys, like, don't ever look at that clock. It's wrong all the time. All the time. But like our in-person fan experience is rough. It's rough.
So, and that is our mantra this year, right? Is to try and make the fan experience. So feel free to put in your comments ways we can do that better. But our goal this year is to basically increase our fan experience leading into World Cup, right? One of the things that we face is that we view the event as a series, and we kind of bring all our bells and whistles out at World Cup, but it's not. That's our one opportunity to interact with our fans is at every event. That's why you do a tour, right?
Right.
And, and some of the stuff is legacy stuff. I'm not passing the buck, but it's, we've always been a player first type of I'm a player first guy, right? Like to me, that's who my customer is, and that's who I was, and that's who I'm trying to keep happy. So I'm like, even when we went to the Buck Stadium, my first thing is, how are the pros going to feel when they walk in here to go play? They're going to feel like professional athletes, right? That's what makes me excited. And then now I have to put on a different hat and say, but now how am I going to get, Bill, who came in from playing pool tonight, and he's going to go stop by, and we got an hour to try and sell him that this is cool to watch. I've always been selling it's cool to play. I've never been selling it's cool to watch through most of my career, right?
Right. Well, the majority of your revenue has come from the player who's the customer.
Just not all my revenue, also my passion, right? Like, I'm an animal to my needs, right? I enjoy playing, right? And so that's kind of
this is another one of those things where I tell you all the time, as my president of the league, do I want you to be focused on? Right? Like when I see you out in the parking lot and I'm like, dude, you should get your ass in the venue. Get out of the area. Why are you in the parking lot? You have to have somebody who can do this.
But parking lot experience is important.
Let's not go down this path again.
There's not enough time in the day, so I do have to triage some stuff. So we are getting better at that. We have a great staff, and a lot of people are doing good things, right? So And this has freed me up to do more of this cool stuff, right? But it's cool stuff, right? I like it. And I'm making a conscious switch, right? The book beside my bed that I'm reading at nighttime is fan experience, right? How are we going to improve that? It's like, and I don't know who said it, but it's like I'm going to learn war so that my kids can learn science, so their kids can learn poetry, right? It's all part of the steps. I'm just having to take that journey all in one career, right? We just needed to be accepted as a game, accepted as a sport. We needed to keep people playing, and now we need to get people interested in watching it.
And not kind of on this trek, for sure. And we are kind of on this trek, like the Savannah Banana group, right? Who's done a
that guy's last name is also Cole.
Engagement.
Also Cole. I said his last name is also Cole.
I know. Yeah. But like, as far as like where they've come from to where they are now, the trek is the same. It's really close, right? Like as far as what they've tried to do with their league and where we are right now is very similar, with the exception, of course, we have not just the professional league, but when you look at the NXL as a whole, we have all of these divisional things that are occurring at the same time, where we have this huge kind of traveling circus that goes from place to place to place, where the pro thing needs to be, and I love that divisional paintball is going on at the same time. Like one of my favorite things to do at the event is go down and watch divisional paintball. But from a pro, like the way that the pro needs to be treated is more kind of like that Savannah Banana experience, right? It needs to be in a place that can be viewed, where there's lots of kind of entertainment things that are going on. Obviously, the paintball is entertaining, but there's got to be things happening outside of that, just like they do.
Right.
Baseball itself, to be clear, in my opinion, is so boring. It's so boring to watch a baseball game. That's why those dudes are dancing, because it's not a terribly entertaining thing to watch. Our thing is pretty entertaining to watch, but still, we leave a lot to be desired from a fan engagement experience.
And the first step that, and I'm not a baseball fan, and I remember going to go see the Orioles play, and like the guys in the outfield are not even paying attention, right? There's never a point in time in a paintball game that if you walk into the pits, they're not all watching the game. You know what I mean? They're either getting ready or they're watching. They're not just lollygagging and talking, joking, or whatever. We're definitely more compelling than baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. So and I watch a lot of his stuff. It's funny because there was just a video the other day where he got booed. You know, when he came with the name Savannah Bananas, he got booed in Savannah for that. During a parade, and I was like, I feel you, man. I tried to change the names of the divisions. I got roasted online.
You got booed.
I got booed, you know. So he stuck to his guns. I backed down for the booing. But some of that also, you know, he was starting from scratch. You know what I mean? It was like he was not dealing with legacy. We have a legacy, right? Which is a huge plus. But it also means that when you go to change something, you're threatening people's who they are, right? What their place was in paintball and what paintball means to them, which is one of the things that I really like about 3-man, because I don't get huge pushback with any of my opinions on 3-man. Whereas if I was trying to make some of these changes in traditional X-ball, it is like, you know, I'm stepping on the church and school and everything at the same time, right? It's like it's our passion, right? Whereas the 3-man, we feel like we can experiment and do new stuff. Because there's never a time that I don't give a pitch where people are like, I mean, I see where you're coming from, how that might make it better, but I really want to keep my view of time management or whatever the nuance that they have is kind of a thing. So,
yeah, of course, especially at the pro level, right? All these guys and coaches and everybody have worked really, really, really hard to get where they are, and it's hard to consider weird changes, right? So before we kind of jump into what those changes may be, let's talk a little bit about some other opportunities for teams to play inside the stadium on Thursday. So if you want to play amateur, and correct me if I'm wrong, amateur 3v3 or divisional 3 versus 3, or it's not WNXL, right? Amateur, it's women's amateur.
Yes.
If you play any of those, you will have an opportunity to play your finals inside Raymond James Stadium.
Yep.
So if you're playing the 3v3, you do have an opportunity to participate inside
the Thursday 3v3s. The Thursday 3v3s.
Yep. Thursday 3v3. Your finals will be inside the stadium.
Yep. And I think it's a great opportunity, right? It's going to be
totally. Yeah, it's awesome. All right, we'll jump into a couple of questions really quick, and then we'll move on to Europe and ICPL.
Did you say Europe and ICPL?
Yeah, just for a second.
Go right ahead.
Just for a second. Is there really a plan to separate division? Yeah, that's a good point. We'll ask this. So Joel Hayward says, when is the NXL going to get serious? Is there ever a plan to separate divisional paintball from the NXL and focus the league purely on the professional product? Let big brands and local fields handle divisional programs. Let the NXL concentrate on building a national and global recognized pro sport. Great question.
It's a great question. You should never start the phrase by like, when are you going to get serious? I feel like
I think what he meant to say is, when are you guys going to get your head out of your ass?
Yeah, that was the implied, and that's the that is the thing.
I think just said it nicer than me.
I think I'm pretty serious. This is the first step in that, right? And I'm not saying that we wouldn't continue to run the amateur, right? There's a lot of sports that the main league kind of controls. I should say control is like the governing body of everything and kind of guiding that through. I occasionally see people say that like we should not run local events or we shouldn't run amateur divisions and all that kind of stuff, right? And I believe that's a little selfish, right? Because I believe some people are saying that because either they don't want to play ours and they would like their local events to be bigger, or they can't afford ours, which is all fair things, right? But some people do like the opportunity and they are playing these events, and we are the largest tournament series on the planet. We're bigger than the other 5 combined, I believe. And so, we wouldn't want to take that opportunity away from people to play, the way we host it, right, as the product. But to say that the pros couldn't separate out, that's one of the steps of the stadium thing, right? Is if we can go to the stadium and make that a viable thing, maybe that is something we could do moving forward, right? Where you say, on Thursday, June 1st, you're going to have Fit playing X Factor in the Dallas Stadium, and tickets are $25 and go watch them play. That is an opportunity, right? That's something we're working towards, but it's a couple years down the road for sure. I mean, World Cup's the World Cup because of its size, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool event. It's epic. Like when people describe it, the first thing they say is it's huge, and it's larger than almost any other sport. Getting together, you know what I mean? Like we're big. I mean, it's a spectacle on a logistics front, right? It's a full blown thing, and that's one of the problems about pro only stuff is the cost of setting everything up. We have economies of scale, right? So we don't build 1 field, we build 8 fields, and we're continuing to grow, right? It's not like we're stagnating and the rest of paintball is kind of slowed down, right? All of the sides are continuing to grow, right? Whether it's Mike, Zudell, or Aaron, right? Everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and we do all work together, right? I probably talk to those guys, once a quarter, some more, some less, but I mean, we have a great relationship with the other leagues as well. So it's kind of a thing.
Yeah. Jay Principato asks, will we be able to buy Major League Paintball merch inside the stadium?
We believe so, yes. You should be able to buy the merch inside the stadium.
Cool.
My merch guy is probably watching this thing. God damn it.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Let's talk a little bit about ICPL. So, how many tournaments?
It's good off the top of my head. I believe 4.
Okay. All right. Anything changing with ICPL? So that's one more event than last year.
One more event. We're doing an event on the West Coast with Glenn Forrester.
Great park.
Yep. Great park. Great guy. Person that loves 10-man, been playing it forever. So the brains behind Dynasty at one point. But in fact, he's so smart they call him the Brain. That was his nickname.
Ambush is, yeah, Ambush is one of my absolute favorite places.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Well, and that's I mean, everybody that's running a 10-man likes 10-man. So as you know, obviously the parks are the ones kind of running them this year. And so it's a good segue to those guys because they love 10-man, right? Whether it's Rennick or Barno, Glenn, Zudell, they're all 10-man fans. So
yeah, I am too. I just don't have time to play it.
Yeah, I love 10-man. I love 10-man. How cool would it be? This is my pet project. Someone's gonna either get fired or get roasted. But would it be cool to play 10-man in the stadium from end zone to end zone? Like, that would be. I believe that would be pretty epic. So that's really what we need to do. You had mentioned that, like, we need to come up with a format that follows another size of thing, right? So that you can use existing infrastructure and kind of make it happen. Like pickleball, I believe, used half of a tennis court so that they knew that they could double the amount of tennis courts or whatever. So like we needed to design something for hockey field size or football size, or, you know, when we were at the ESPN thing, I was like, maybe we just do baseball stadiums. You know, that the diamond's a little weird there, right? It makes it hard to be fair for both sides, but yeah.
Yeah, it had a couple of slippery spots where
that was it, and then it had the mound, and nothing was like the same size. You know, it's like there was no cement. You know, not very symmetrical.
Yes, another great question. Can fans cheer from their seats?
Yes.
Yeah, please make shitloads of noise.
My CFO will be very happy. He's a big fan of coaching. We believe you're going to be close enough but far enough away that you're not really going to be able to hear. And with 3,000 people, it should be better. So, yeah.
Yes, right. Like I get asked, and I think you've even asked me the question, like, hey, what do you think about sideline coaching? And I'm like, it's fine if the sideline is far away. If the sideline is 5 feet from the field, it's not good. It's not helpful.
Or if no one's there, right? That's the, you know, you have one loud guy from Boston, last name Painter, yelling, you know, he's coming now, or look left, or whatever. You know, it's like, you know, so
yeah, it doesn't enhance the game when it's that close.
But like, it is interesting because I think, and I'm somewhat biased here, but I believe all the great players came from the 7-man, 10-man era. And then, you know, we ended up with more of like the less superstars through the traditional X-ball coaching era. But like I know I'm going to get some hate mail for this one, but like you look at like Ryan Greenspan and
everyone on my team is from the X-ball era.
Yeah, but they went to a different university, right? They went through that Cold War university of Rocky 3 or whichever version of that was, where they just trained and trained and trained and trained. But the you know, and a lot of the coaches came from 7-man, right? But it's interesting.
No, but I would agree with you that I think that kind of intuitive field awareness does come from playing 7-man.
Communication wasn't as important during X-ball or the traditional X-ball time period as it was during 7-man, and it is again. So,
for sure,
you know, communication's everything now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's again, like if the sidelines are far enough away, I don't think it matters if the fans are interacting. In fact, I think that energy, like when we're in Drew, and I use this as an example all the time when asked about this, like that sideline is far enough away that when the crowd is jazzed up and excited, and that energy coming out of that, you know, really cool stadium and pours out onto the field, like that energy is cool. Even when it's like, it's not usually,
it's not towards you, I can guarantee you that.
Right? Yeah. But like, it's cool. Like, it's still like hearing them do their chants for their team, their country.
Joy. One of my favorite chants. Yeah. I'm up there in the stands rooting against you as well there. I'm going joy the whole time I'm there.
And the Norwegians, right, have a really cool chant. The guys from the Netherlands have a really cool like it's just it's a great energy, a great environment. And our the Belgian people have
The Belgian guys, yeah, they're
who
crazy
wants to
too.
party? I want to party. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's a great atmosphere. It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah, my point is like they're cheering.
Kind of done a lot of that. They've got some fans that are cheering and kind of doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, it all comes down to the amount of people. If you got 3,000 people, then people, whatever the hell they're saying in the stands doesn't really matter. If you got just one guy up there yelling, "Look left," that's not my version of paintball. How's that?
Right. Yeah, I agree. But my point is like when it's far enough away, that energy is really cool.
Yep.
When it's close, it's just disruptive. It doesn't help the game.
Wrangle does it. Wrangle does it at the at World Cup when he does the Veterans Militia thing or the Veterans round, right? And even that's like, I mean, it is pandemonium, and people want to kill each other, and they don't even like the teams. They're not even like real teams yet. It's the Army versus Navy or whatever. I can't imagine what happens when it's Fit versus Impact.
It would be bad. It's a little. That's the other part of it that I don't love is when, and I've been in that situation where I've been threatened and all kinds of chaos is occurring, and I'm like, I'm not on your side. I'm on my side. Like I don't understand why you're down here yelling at my guy. And
the counterculture was like some of the worst stuff.
And in my opinion, created part of the problem that we had at events, right, where there was all of this sort of angst about shit that really didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it really doesn't matter. Like just move it back and then everybody can participate and you're not really being helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But the answer is yes, make a lot of noise, please. Like we need it to be entertaining. So need it to be entertaining. All right, what about Europe? Anything changing there?
Nope. Europe is plugging along great. We are doing an awards show at the Czech event.
Awesome.
So we're kind of excited about that. Czech event's really a good venue. I mean, the guy there runs an amazing park. It's a beautiful park, probably one of the nicest parks I've ever been to.
It has a club in it, right?
It has a club in it. Yeah, a club that's nicer than clubs that I went to, right? When we'd go to said clubs. Yeah, it's really nice. And it's all paintball themed. It's really cool. He's done an amazing thing. It's like when you picture if you were like playing the lottery and you thought I'm going to win $10 million, what I would do with that if I opened up a paintball field is kind of what he's doing. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I had $10 million. I wouldn't be opening a paintball field.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably run a league, but yeah.
You guys would never see me again.
Always
unless you came to wherever my house was somewhere else.
Which I
wouldn't tell very many people. So what about some rule changes? We kind of talked about this a little bit. So are the European teams going to go to 5 pods?
Yes, the European teams are going to go to 5 pods.
Okay. So there is a change.
There is a change, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then what about the tiebreaker or the margin rule now? Is that for sure changed?
That is for sure changed. Would you like me to read the rule?
I do.
All right. So we have 2 different tiebreakers. We have an in-bracket tiebreaker, which is always complicated, right? But it obviously is head-to-head. And then inside it, we're going to do with number of games won by mercy versus the tied team. So if you have a 3-way tie and one of you guys mercied each other, then that team would automatically move forward, right? Because the differential gets a little weird in there. And then it would go to least points scored in a mercy wins if everybody does the mercy. Let's just say all 3 teams mercy one other team in that little thing. And then it'll go to number of points scored. Huh?
Yeah. That would eliminate one team.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then we would go to number of points scored in wins, which is basically the main tiebreaker. I don't know how many times we have a mercy against 3 teams that are in the top. And then in the wild card situation, it goes the second, it's head-to-head and then number of points scored in all games won.
Nice.
And it's a maximum of 6 points per game. And then the next one is number of points scored in all games losses.
I love it.
So
I love it. And is
right now it incentivizes people to attack. I had a long discussion with Uprising. and we kind of went through. I like kirked out on them in the pits at some point in time because they weren't playing the way that I thought they should play. They had some good rebuttals. So yeah, we made some changes. So I do learn sometimes, even when I'm angry in the pits.
Yeah, that was against us.
Was it against you? Yeah, I would have yelled at you guys, but you guys are no fun.
Kirill was holding the flag.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was odd that they wouldn't try and win, but I guess they just felt like you guys had the number and they didn't want to create a bad differential. So this would fix that. So right now there'd be no reason to not hit it for either one of you. Well, I mean, I guess Krill still might not want to hit it because he wants to win the match predominantly, but.
Okay, so you and I have actually had a discussion about this. So I'm going to bring this in. This is Matt Schmidt, I'm sure, from London Attrition. We want to change the ranking rules for World Cup so European pro teams that didn't win the World Cup can still play semi-pro Cup. You and I talked about this, and you told me that pro teams from Europe wouldn't come here and play semi-pro because it was semi-pro.
Yeah, I do believe that.
That's a pro team right there that's saying he would come play.
Okay. Well, thank you, London Attrition. You know, I love my UK teams. Let me see what we can do there. I'm taking notes. I don't take notes often, so I will double check into that and see. There's a couple problems, right? So the World Cup, obviously for the semi-pro teams here, is important because they're trying to win a berth into the pro division. So one of two things are going to happen, which aren't good for the league point of view, is a European team could come over and just get demolished by our semi-pro teams. Doesn't do good for me. And then two, they could come and just demolish our semi-pro teams, which also isn't good for us, right? So it's a challenge, but I will look into it and see what we can do. And Attrition, if we do it, are you telling me you're going to come? You can feel free to
It's
put that
Talfrin, by the way. And I think that's what he's saying. First of all, I don't think that the European pro teams would come and smash the semi-pro teams. And I don't think that the semi-pro teams here would smash the pro teams from over there, depending on which pro teams came.
So the Champions round has fixed a little bit of it. In the past, we would have had a problem if let's just use the Tauntauns, because the Tauntauns did this, right? Back in the day, they came and played semi-pro, and suddenly they're your easy team in your division, and the other team you're competing with for your pro spot got a real easy team, a team from Alaska that this is their first tournament. They decided to go semi-pro, and you got, the Tauntauns or Joy Division or something, right? So it just means everybody in that bracket gets less points or less chance of winning, right? Because they're all beating each other and they knock each other out of the running. The Champions round kind of protects that a little bit because, the European team would have to play through the regular round and then get to those top four. And usually at that point in time, the pro team's already decided. But if you were coming in the hard way and trying to win the pro spot at World Cup, you could end up with, the Tauntauns in your bracket, or I shouldn't use Tauntauns anymore, but breakout spot.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. That's a real thing. But I will look into it.
It makes a lot of sense to me for them. It's weird that we call it the World Cup and we don't have a way for those teams.
Well, we do. They can play pro. They have to win their berth.
But my point is, if they don't, right? Like if they don't win that opportunity,
the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. You can win your berth in and not win your berth in. You know what I mean? They have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to play World Cup.
You don't want to go down that path with me because the Super Bowl is obviously a completely different.
You mean because we make people not leave? So yes, in a perfect world,
and we have 9 divisions.
In a perfect world, yeah, but forget all the other divisions. Let's just talk about pro because that's what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
You don't win you don't make it to the playoffs in the NFL and then go play college, go play a bowl game versus Alabama.
Sure.
So that's, you're kind of playing in the pro division. We could change that to an open division. That was what we had talked about, was kind of making the semi-pro more of an open division and kind of make that the mixing ground. I mean, the true thing, if every apples were apples, we would say, that 3 teams are going to move on from Europe and 3 teams are going to come on for World Cup, and that was the playoffs, right? That was the World Cup. The fact that we take more from other countries, which I guess soccer does that, right? There's some leagues where you get an amount of berths based upon the size of your country or your league or whatever. But maybe it's European Championship, something like that. But it's not a perfect solution that we're at right yet. And it's just also way more expensive for the Europeans to come to America.
But I think the open division solves many problems. It solves the problem with the re-ranking of players that people complain about.
Yep.
When teams get relegated down, like it calling it open just creates, in my opinion, cleans up a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, but it does. But you still don't want Marcelo going down there and playing, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. Something to think about.
I don't think you have to worry. If the player's good enough, they're not going to end up back down there.
I've argued both sides of this, so I'm prepared.
Yeah, unless they choose to, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess if some semi-pro team offered Marcelo $200,000 to come back down, I still don't know that he would do it, but maybe.
Yeah.
I would love to see more European teams be able to come over and play.
Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, we've had
Chris Kurtz says all the other.
Good.
Yeah, Chris Kurtz says all the other divisional teams have drop-ins. The difference, Chris, and I understand part of where Tom's coming from, is that those semi-pro teams are playing for promotion spot. And when you have a team come in from Europe, let's say it is a team like Tauntauns that's really, really talented, or even London Attrition, for that matter. They played exceptional last year, especially the way they finished the year. They were very good.
It's amazing.
And
I so wanted them to win. I so wanted them to win. Yeah, I'm giving myself
but they knock out.
I so wanted them to win.
They knock out a semi-pro team who has an opportunity to win that pro spot. It's not a good thing. Right. So I understand like where some of the challenges can come in by making that change, but it is different than like Division II. Like winning the series in Division II is not the same as going and winning a pro spot. It's a different thing.
Correct.
So, yeah. Teams are playing pro spot. Yeah, Thomas, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, this is a great question, and one that I've heard and thought myself. It's have you thought about creating a prerequisite to compete in semi-pro?
You mean as far as having a locked division, or whoever wants to go?
I think it's more like maybe the total team points rank has to be a certain thing in order to register for semi-pro. The same way, like you can't be a semi-pro team and go register for Division III.
Yeah, but going the opposite way, right? So it's kind of like how the pro goes.
For sure.
It's like back in the day when the NFL would do the open tryouts, right? Mark Wahlberg's got that movie, like that's kind of what semi-pro is. You feel froggy elite, you know what I mean? Like make it happen. And yeah, I can see both sides of it, but I mean, I'm not here to protect people. Like if you let's just say you're in Ludwig, Georgia. I was picking on Ludwig, Georgia. I'm a friend of mine there. But you're in Ludwig, Georgia, and you and 8 of your friends get together, and you're like, you know what? We feel like paintball's missing us, and we could go take this. Yeah. What's the highest division we can play? Semi-pro. We're going to win a pro spot. We're going to change the sport. You want to come in? I mean, you earn them welts. That's all I can say. It is what it is.
It doesn't protect the integrity of that game, though, right? Like, because then you end up with a pool where you have these teams, like a team that
is horrible. Let's just say there's a horrible team in your bracket. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You make it a Sunday, right? So then Sunday the game gets real. You know what I mean? Like
I know, but my point is, let's say you get 3 teams out of that pool because they all got a larger point margin because they got to beat up on that one team. Same thing happened in Europe 2 years ago when there was a pro team who was awful. I think they won 2 points the entire year. There were 4 teams, that came out of their pool at one of the tournaments. 4 teams. Because the 2 teams that shouldn't have made it got better point margins because they beat that team 5-0.
Yeah, but I mean, Yeah, I mean, there's obviously always freak accidents like that.
It just
And we've had
dilutes
it in
the
the pro
game.
division. We've had it in the pro division where a team, crumbles halfway through the year or whatever, and they're easy from that point on. I mean, sports is sports. It's not a math equation, right? So that's why we do it, right? If you believe the hype and you want to try and make it happen, that's more power to you. And yes, is it unfortunate that maybe 3 teams do it? But once again, Sunday fixes all that.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, maybe someone doesn't get to move on out of the other division. But that's why the tiebreakers are based upon the people that you're tied with, right? And yeah.
Well, EW Butner, I believe there should be, but I guess I'm
We've thought about locking the division, but we still would not require people to have a certain type of roster, right? Like, you're basically, and I'm assuming what you're saying is like you got to have 4 D3 guys and a D2 guy, whatever that
just so many points, whatever it equates to.
Yep.
You got to have this many points to play. You got to be this tall to ride this ride.
Yep. Malloy'd be mad, but
yeah, but he could wear stilts. He wear little things in his shoes.
He's probably better than most of us wearing stilts.
Oh my God, I was talking to Rainey Stanzik about him today. He's just, guys like that are so special. You just can't.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's amazing. All right. Anything else about Europe?
Nope.
Okay. Also, any other rule changes?
Not that I'm aware of at this moment.
Sidelines.
That's my PC answer there.
Backline?
You're talking about the backline, sideline thing? I'm going to put that also on my notes for talking Jason thing.
But to me, the sideline's a sideline, right? The backline's the only one I think is kind of stupid. Like once the game starts, like after the breakout, whatever, 15, 20 seconds, the backline is dumb. There's no benefit to running out of bounds. Like every time somebody touches the buzzer, they go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Every time. So if the backline at that point to me is negligent, it's really
so is there any reason why the backline would be a backline that I'm not thinking of that would be an out of bounds?
Only on the breakout.
Only on the breakout. They don't want to hide behind the start spot. I can't think of a reason. Maybe there's a referee reason. You have referees.
You don't want guys like running to the back of the net and then up at a bunker. I understand that. Like that creates safety issues. But like after the play starts, and again, that backline's never straight.
Well, it's also normally the attacker that runs through it, right? So you could just say that's out of bounds for the defender, but not the attacker. And I'm using attacker defender because if I'm at your back line, I'm the attacker. But you know what I mean? Like you don't want me backing up off my back spot so that I look like a dead body or something, right? Or I don't know that you're in play. Like you've seen the guys when they get shot and they kind of just walk straight backwards like they're trying to get out of bounds without someone seeing them. You wouldn't want that guy to be able to do that. But when I'm running and I go to bunker a guy and then I overstep it, that's kind of silly in my opinion. So
yeah, we're talking about like the World Cup situation, right? Where people are talking about Jacob going out of bounds and like whether he did or didn't, to me, again, it's negligent. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah. You'd hate to determine the World Cup off of running out of bounds in the back, right? So
on the back line, right? That absolutely did not change the game.
Yep. Exactly.
Anything else, brother?
No, I'm good. I mean, that was only an hour and 19 minutes. We're good.
And we get it done fast. Well, you did so good in the beginning. Like you literally nailed all of these.
Thank you. It's all on my mind constantly. So this is what I do.
Tree, food and beer, the YouTube show right here on this channel. You crushed it. You did great, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody that's chimed in.
You're always welcome.
Thank you very much.
That's not true. You're not welcome like 2 days after you leave that different show. Then I don't want you for a while.
I got to do all the shows.
I know, but that was funny the day I sent you the message like, hey, you want to come on? And you said, oh, I'm going on play the game. And I was like, all right, I'll talk to you in a few weeks. Like, no sense in rehashing the same shit you're going to say to them.
Yeah. But I mean, every show's got a little different questions. It kind of spins it a little different way. So
yeah.
All right.
Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah. Thomas Taylor said something in here that I was going to touch on really quick. Yeah, don't see it. All right, brother. I will talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Thanks again. All right.
See you, pal. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 104. What's the new rules for the youth? Crap. Lots about aging pros. What's MLPB doing? Yeah, get more kids in. Great question. I tell you what, Thomas, I'm so sorry, man. I just saw that. I will make sure that next time I have Tom on, I will get to all of that. You know how much I love the youth in our sport, and I apologize. I will make sure I touch that next time I have Tom on. In fact, when I'm done here, I'll ask Tom about that, and then I'll just text you an answer. All right, guys. I will be in Houston, Texas this weekend at Wastelands Paintball with Outlaw AP. If you are down around the Wastelands area, come say hi. I'd love to shake your hand and introduce myself and get to know you. Also, if you're around the Texas area, Texas Demolition is looking for a coach. They're a semi-pro team. They have kind of revamped their roster. It's looking really, really good. So if you want to work with a really good semi-pro team that's got a lot of upside, reach out to them on their socials. Yeah, so thank you to Max Sportswear and BKI for your support of the show. Thank you to Major League Paintball, Tom Cole, Kevin Fillers, Darren Cessna, and Amanda Maltz. For Mike Bianca, I'm Ryan Gray. As always, be responsible. See you guys.